I want to go to CBS News campaign reporter Jake Rosen, who has a new statement from Trump's running mate, Senator Vance. Jake?
Well, that's right, Lindsay. J.D. Vance says that he spoke with Donald Trump before the news was made public. He says, quote, "Still much we don't know, but I'll be hugging my kids extra tight tonight and saying a prayer of gratitude." He says Trump is safe and that he is in good spirits. So that is the latest from the official side of the Trump campaign in terms of public statements. I was told by one source to expect something from the campaign or the former president soon, but we are in a holding pattern waiting for exactly more information from the campaign side of things, as you obviously just heard law enforcement brief reporters there down in Florida.
What do we know about what else the campaign has said? I know earlier this afternoon we've been reporting on a fundraising email that was released.
Well, that's right. Donald Trump said first there in a fundraising email, not on Truth Social, not on Twitter, that he was safe and in good spirits and that he was going to continue to keep fighting for Americans. That is the first word that we've heard from the former president himself. Again, we have not heard from him on his social media platforms that he so often shares information with right away.
Jake, what do we know about the former president's campaign schedule this week and whether your sources tell you that will continue?
I've gotten no indication so far in these conversations that we've had here at CBS about exactly any changes that would happen to the former president's schedule. We're expecting him to be in Flint, Michigan on Tuesday night. We're expecting him in Uniondale, New York on Wednesday. And then later in the week, he's expected to make remarks to a Jewish group, a Jewish Republican-aligned group here in D.C. before speaking in Wilmington, North Carolina on Saturday.
Jake Rosen, thank you. I want to go back to Anna Schechter, who leads our crime and public safety unit here at CBS News. Anna, you and your team have been extensively reporting on this weapon in particular and its prevalence. What can you tell us?
Well, the NRA itself tells us that the AK-47 assault style rifle is one of the most popular guns in America, used for sport, and it's one of the most prevalent. So it's interesting that we are hearing about an AK-47 when we had just covered a school shooting in Georgia where a student brought in an AK-47 and killed 4 individuals. And prior to that, in Butler County, the person who attempted to take former President Trump's life also used an AK-style rifle. So again and again, we are hearing about these, and they are very prevalent. They are legal in Florida. Florida has relatively lenient gun laws. You have to be 18 years old to purchase a rifle or a firearm, and you do not need a state permit. So this obviously is going to be part of the investigation, learning about the suspect's background, and where he got the gun will obviously be a part of that. So we'll stay on this and we'll continue to bring you that reporting. Separately, when we're talking about that witness, that is also key, and the fact that he left the gun, that is helpful to investigators because they can immediately start tracing that. ATF will be on that, and we can expect to hear some details about that coming in the coming 24 hours likely. And it's also interesting to think about how the suspect learned that Trump was at the golf course. When you're down in South Florida, you know, we've all covered Trump. It's a pretty big motorcade. So even though it wasn't a publicly announced event, if you're down in the Palm Beach area, you know, oftentimes you will know if a motorcade is driving by. So the suspect will be questioned about how he learned of Trump's whereabouts, certainly. And, you know, if this was planned, you know, how long he had been planning it, or if it was more of a sort of decision, a last minute decision to do something.
Okay, Anna, I appreciate your reporting on that. Stay with us. I want to go to CBS News' Skyler Henry, who joins us now from the White House. Skyler?
Hey, Lindsay, good to be with you as always. Well, we know that President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris have both been briefed on the situation today. The Vice President putting out on Twitter earlier saying that not only has she been briefed, but she is glad that President Trump is safe and that violence has no place in America. And We are learning a little bit more about the posture as it relates to Secret Service and what they were doing surrounding former President Trump. We also know that the posture here has ramped up just a bit. Lafayette Square Park, which is right across from the White House north side, has been closed to the public, at least for the last several hours or so. Typically on Sundays afternoons, it's available to the public. That's been blocked off as a ramped up security effort. And we also know that there will be more as it relates to this investigation in terms of what the president and vice president will be briefed on. What is interesting to note, and we heard this during the press conference just a few moments ago, is that the sheriff there pointed out that former President Trump, because he's not the sitting president, has a bit of a scaled down detail, if you will. That is something that has come up time and again as it relates to former President Trump, his campaign and his detail, all saying that at various moments they've called for additional security measures at varying capacities, whether that was in New York as it relates to on the campaign trail, or having to deal with security and metal detectors as it relates to his son Barron Trump's graduation. And so I think there will probably be a conversation surrounding how they decide to detail former President Trump moving forward. We know he's a man who likes his golf. We know he's a man who likes to be out and about if and when he can do so. And so I think it wouldn't be beyond the thoughts to see that sort of detail ramp up in varying capacities as he moves out and about. Obviously, since what we saw in Butler a couple of months ago, that detail has ramped up quite a bit. But I think now, once we learn a little bit more, and as we learn more as it relates to this investigation, we'll probably see that posture change even more so.
Skyler Henry, appreciate your reporting.